Netflix released a movie called The Adumb Project and it's pretty bad. Don't watch it. This is essentially the most Marvel movie ever. The only thing missing is the logo and the superpowers. If you're wondering why I bothered to watch this film in the first place, I am too. I guess I thought it was because this would be a more serious film that Ryan Reynolds was taking on. I mean, the trailer wasn't promising, but it looked like it had some potential. Then again, I did manage to forget who was actually directing this, so I guess I just shot myself in the foot for no reason. It's the second film in a row that I've watched which involves a dog called Hawking and time travel, and I gotta say at least the last one wasn't a generic piece of shit.
The past fucking sucks, man.
At least that one was experimental and had some originality to it. The only thing this film has is some thin-veiled attempts at creativity which fall flatter than this woman's acting.
Yeah, well, that little kid, he grows up to be a very big pain in our ass. Trust me, you're gonna want this. Before this goes any further, let's just go home, please. So you're risking your own young life over some paranoid delusion that I somehow killed Laura. I loved Laura. You were both like family to me. I would never have hurt her.
Her delivery was cringe, her dialogue was cringe, her character was one-dimensional cringe. She's just a mustache-twirling villain with a very boring backstory and motivations. It's just, oh, I want to control the future and get rich and be powerful and something. Congratulations, Sean Levy, you've now made 2 movies where the main villain gives the worst performance of the film. While we're on the topic of acting, Ryan Reynolds did fine. I don't know, a lot of people don't like him, but I don't really have a problem with his acting. The kid actor also did alright, but I think his delivery was a bit off in some scenes.
That's a lightsaber, dude.
The music is generic and boring, is used inappropriately, and is soulless corporate factory trash. I sure do love hearing the same music I've heard from a million other action films over and over again. The comedy in this film is pretty mixed. You have your generic boring Marvel humor, but there are also some genuinely funny moments. Then again, those moments only really worked because they felt like they were pulled out of a parody movie, which is not what this film is going for. This is also an action movie, and the action was pretty funny. Ryan Reynolds punching his dad in the face did more damage to him than using his bare fist to punch a guy with metal armor from the future. There's also a lot of reference porn. I thought it wouldn't be too bad at first because it kind of makes sense for young Ryan Reynolds to be a 12-year-old boy who describes things as lightsabers and stuff like that, but I forgot that this was made by the same person who made Free Guy, so the references just got really obnoxious by the end because they weren't serving any purpose to the characters or the story at all. Just randomly throwing in a reference to another IP without establishing it in the world doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense from a character, world building, or tonal perspective at all, thus adding nothing to the film's value, so why fucking add it?
I remember a superhero landing from Deadpool. Movie good now because you associated it with something from a pre-existing movie that people already enjoy to trick us into thinking this movie is good.
Don't worry, I'm not trying to be a party pooper. I think it's fine for films to incorporate references to things which are detached from the film, as they can add some nice icing to a scene or just be something extra for people who are paying particularly close attention. A film which does this right is Sully. In that film, there is a scene in Times Square where you can see a poster for Gran Torino, directed by Clint Eastwood. It was still in theaters when the events of this film take place, but guess what? Eastwood also happens to be the director of Sully, so it's a nice nod to his filmography without distracting you from the current film you're watching, because it wasn't the focus of the shot. Whereas in the Adumb Project, we stopped playing the upbeat 70s music and fighting, thus bringing any enjoyment from watching a dumb action scene to a grinding halt to deliver a cheap, out-of-place reference.
Superhero landing. Ever had your ass kicked by a 12-year-old nerd with an inhaler?
Skip it up and that up.
Right, I think I've run out of material for the non-spoiler part of this video, so spoilers ahead, you have been warned. There's some pretty funny shit that happens towards the end of the film. I guess I wasn't expecting actual time travel from this movie because I felt like I was teleported 10 years ago when big blue lasers were the climax of our star-spangled action films. There's a hard drive which contains the algorithm for time travel, and for some reason they don't bother throwing it at the reactor, which seems to be pulling in anything that has metal on it. I mean, it managed to make much bigger objects just disappear without a trace, so I don't see the problem with doing the same to the drive. Why didn't the reactor blow everything in a 100-mile radius like Mark Ruffalo explicitly stated? Shouldn't adult Adum's wife be here because she jumped to 2018 and then died 4 years later in 2022? We never get any specifics that I can remember about when she actually jumped in 2018, so this could be before, during, or after her arrival. If she is there, then why doesn't she go help them? Maybe she's stuck in another continent or has injuries that prevent her from getting there in time, but I don't have faith that the writers are intelligent enough to account for that. Actually, I know they're not because they never give a throwaway line explaining it. My absolute favorite moment of the entire film, making it all worth it, was the dumbass bullet getting deflected towards the reactor and killing the main villain. I guess it makes sense since the bullet was made of metal and it got sucked towards a magnet, but it was still pretty comical watching it play out. How conveniently placed I am. I've been stabbed with a bullet.
You need to piss off back to where you came from.
Hey, welcome back, non-spoiler people. This film is bad. Like I said at the beginning, don't watch it. 4 out of 10. I don't know if this should be a 3 or not. 4 seems incredibly generous. I've seemed to have forgotten everything good about this film that I enjoyed, so I don't know. Bye.
Shut the physics down!
Supper time, Spanky.
Because of emergence!
Can you please just shut up for a second?
No, I'm not gonna listen.
For a second
I'm not gonna
and listen to me.
because
God, we watch too many movies.